UK economy is on its knees, and I know it sounds cliche, but the UK is going to pieces.
I don't feel like I'm even surviving. I just exist at this point.
As a UK citizen, I cannot afford to live in the UK.
320,000 people were pushed into poverty because of mortgage interest rate increases. But in general, you being in debt is what keeps the economy as we know it running, which is why nothing is going to be done about it.
How is Britain, London, allowed to be doing these prices?
Why has the grocery bill here in the UK skyrocketed just lately?
How are you affording life? I'm talking as someone who earns like quite a good salary, has like a decent job, and still, I wouldn't say completely struggling with bills, but is getting to that point.
Welcome back to Scroll Through Britain. Today we're diving straight into the chaos that is life in the UK, where rent feels like a mortgage, fruit costs more than fast food, and even parking your car can break the bank. If you're tired of just scraping by, this is the place for you. Hit subscribe, drop a comment on what Britain's struggle you want me to scroll through next, and let's get into it.
Guys, I just went out and bought sours, and this cost me £8.25 with a Nectar card. Back in my day, this used to cost £8 without a Nectar card. How are uni students living right now?
This next clip goes straight for the jugular, not just about rising prices, but about how the UK job market itself is collapsing under pressure.
UK economy is on its knees, and I know it sounds cliche, but the UK is going to pieces. There is now literally no reason why anyone who has a thriving economic business would locate to the UK and create jobs in this country. And we're seeing that with the current status of the job market, where it's so competitive because everyone is competing for both skilled jobs and unskilled jobs. I've seen comments from people that say they're having to go through 4-round interviews for a job that pays £25,000 a year. And you've got jobs that pay £23,000 a year asking for bachelor degrees. And some are even asking for masters. So people are overqualified going into a pool of candidates that is completely saturated, applying for jobs that don't actually pay a living wage. And that pretty much sums up life in the UK right now. And with so many things going wrong in this country, it seems like the only guarantee or the only sure thing is you creating your own path. That essentially means finding a way to make money that's outside of your job that you are in more control of. With the rise of social media, there are so many ways now to make money online. From selling physical products, through to doing affiliate marketing, from getting paid for UGC to getting paid for creating content for TikTok, IG and YouTube. And I think more and more people are being pushed against a wall. They're between a rock and a hard place, and they're having to turn to methods of making money that they hadn't thought of previously. But seriously, if you're watching this video and you haven't already tried to start making money outside of your job, or if you're unemployed and have been for a while, consider starting to make money online.
This clip hits hard. It's about the mental and physical toll of Britain's rising costs, and how many families feel like they're just working non-stop but still can't survive.
I don't feel like I'm even surviving. I just exist at this point. I'm seeing this a hell of a lot on my comments on these videos about energy prices, tax rises, just basically everything you can think of increasing. And that's going to have a knock-on effect to you, to us. And it's coming to the end of the holidays. Kids are going to go back to school. You've got to fork out for uniforms. And I don't understand how this government can't see how much of an impact all these tax rises and increasing costs and stuff. It massively affects people mentally, physically. I'm telling you now, and you can put it in the comments, there will be people at home right now getting very upset that they can't afford shoes for the kids to go back to school. They can't afford the PE kits. The mere thought of having to go out and spend that money that they've not got just to get the kids to school, bags, coats, the stationery, that's just one little topic. Got to get all your food on top. Some kids wouldn't have even seen a holiday this in the 6-week holidays, caravan holiday, a holiday abroad. Some families are very lucky. They could be people, mum and dad both working the grafting, and they still can't afford to make ends meet because the system's broken, people. And this is where this comes in. Not even surviving, I'm just existing, because all people are doing is working the off, which we do, people. And honestly, I give it to hats off to people. We as people work our nuts off, and we get nothing but absolutely when it comes to money. But yeah, I can't see it getting any better, because all I'm seeing in the news today is taxes are going up, public spending's being cut. They've got us in a chokehold, people.
This next clip shows just how hopeless many full-time workers in Britain feel, working long hours, yet still fearing homelessness in the near future.
I've been in my bank tonight, and I'll tell you something. As a UK citizen, I cannot afford to live in the UK. I work full-time and I've not got a penny to my name. We sold a house in 2016. We haven't got a penny to our name. You can't pay rent, drive a car, and I'll tell you something, I've got to decide now whether to sleep on the streets and live in my car, or get rid of my car and try and walk it to work on these unsafe streets, because believe me, at 4:30 in the morning, you go to work, you think it's all quiet, there's people lurking around. So as a UK citizen who works full-time, I cannot afford to live here. Oh no, I'll be on the streets in the next 5 years. I've discussed this. So another British citizen who works full-time living on the streets because we can't afford to live, that is the horror of living in the UK. I'm working every hour that God sends. I work 6 days a week. I work from 5 a.m. till 6 p.m. and I've not got a penny to my name. By the time you've paid your security on your laptop, your mobile phone, your car insurance, your rent, your food, you have absolutely nothing. Why people want to come to the UK is beyond me. Maybe everything's handed to them, free this, free that, because when you're a British citizen, you have absolutely nothing. I go to the pharmacist. I went there 2 weeks ago. There was 8 of us in there. I was the only one who paid nearly £11 for a prescription. Nobody else paid. So an honest UK citizen who works cannot afford to live in this country. I've dealt with the devil. I'm going to be on the streets in the next 5 years. And that's the way it is. Why people are so interested in the UK is beyond me, because it's the most depressing country and you cannot afford to live here. You just can't afford to live here. It's the most disgusting place. So I'm even driving around now looking at places where I can sleep overnight. And I'm thinking that's how bad it is. Why do you want to come here? Because it's more... because we don't get things handed to us. We don't get an apartment with rent paid. We don't get a bloody scooter. We don't get a mobile phone. We get nothing like that. We work and it's taken away from us, and I just can't afford to live anymore, guys. So I just don't know what I'm going to do, because I just can't afford it. I have 2 bank accounts and both are virtually empty. So I'll be on the streets in the next 5 years, guys. And I tell you what, I'll put it all on here as well. How I work full time and I can't afford to live, and I'll be on the streets. Definitely on the streets in the next 5 years. Because when you're a British citizen, nobody wants to know you. Nobody. They don't care. They take all your money and leave you. Oh, and I can't retire. I'll have to literally work like everybody else. I'll have to work till I drop dead one day at work, and that'll be it, because you just can't afford it. I just can't afford to live in the UK. I just can't do it, guys.
This clip digs into the debt trap, how the system is designed to keep people borrowing, paying interest, and struggling, while the wealthy keep profiting.
If they wanted to teach you, they would, but they won't, so I will. In 2024, 320,000 people were pushed into poverty because of mortgage interest rate increases. But in general, you being in debt is what keeps the economy as we know it running, which is why nothing is going to be done about it. And in all honesty, it's also why there is no formal education when it comes to finances in school. We are all taught about health and the dangers of things that might lead to us being a burden to the healthcare system, which in turn will cost the government money. So why not teach everyone from a young age how to look after their money so that they don't end up drowning in debt, which leads to mental health issues and can even go as far as leading to people ending it all? The answer is honestly because too many powerful, disgustingly wealthy people benefit from our lack of understanding of how money and, more importantly, debt works. According to PwC, total household debt in the UK now exceeds £2 trillion. Trillion. Deep that. And when you think about it, it makes perfect sense given the way our economy works. People who invest in businesses want the value of their investment to increase. The only way to do that really is to increase profits year on year on year, which in reality isn't sustainable, because at some point your customers are going to run out of money unless you can convince them to buy your products with money they don't have, which they do really successfully. That is why businesses make things more and more expensive by utilizing subscription services, removing the ability to password share, and just generally increase the price of their goods. You pair all of that with a mentality of consumerism and you have a recipe for disaster. Well, for us, this is what leads to people suffering from debt so extensively, especially in the West. It drives business profits while simultaneously destroying our finances. And people in other parts of the world like Africa, Asia, and the Caribbean tend to buy most of their possessions outright. But because we aren't taught about the dangers of credit and how that can very quickly lead to debt, companies know that they can sell it to us easily with insanely high interest rates because we have been conditioned to want things now. And that is the way in which lenders up and down the country end up making trillions in profit. All of that money leaves our pockets and enters theirs because a lot of people don't know any better. Now, if everyone was provided with a basic education in finance so they could fully understand the effects of the financial decisions they make and what their options are, then a lot of people would be a lot better off.
This clip shows the kind of quiet robbery happening in supermarkets. The same products, new packaging, but the price jumps way higher than pensions or wages.
Why has the grocery bill here in the UK skyrocketed just lately? Is it due to the grocery tax on some products, which are items? I'll give you an example here, right? Now this one, £1.75, and the date on here is the 25th of the 5th, 25, right? So that is the 25th of May. Now then, this one, £1.99, and the date on this one is 22nd of the 6th, 25. So virtually between these two packets, there's a month, right? But the increase is over 13.5%. That's just on one item, an increase of 13.5% or over 13.5%. And the pensioners, they got 4.1%. So there's something not quite right. But because of the packaging on this, it could be all to do with the grocery tax, which is a levy put on certain items to try and keep us down to get down to net zero, so, you know, on packaging.
Here's someone who noticed the difference firsthand. Life abroad feels easier, but coming back to London feels like stepping right back into stress and struggle.
So I don't know if it's just me, but I was holidaying around Europe for 3 weeks and I got back to London 2 days ago, and I feel like the holiday blues hit me so much worse in London than they did in Sydney. I feel like when I went on holiday in Sydney, I'd come back to my life and I would be so chilled. I'd be able to just go to the beach. Life is a lot easier there. It's a lot more cushier. I feel like when I come back from holiday and I get back to London, it's a lot more stressful here, it's a lot more competitive, and I feel like that's why the holiday blues hit me so much worse, because you have to grind and hustle so much harder to make ends meet in London. You go on holiday and you're just like, this is life. And I'm just wondering if any other Aussies and Kiwis feel the same. When you go on holiday and you get back to London, do the post-holiday blues last longer when you're living in London?
This next clip is all about the brutal reality of renting in London, unexpected bills, broken appliances, and a cost of living that can hit anyone hard.
Have you guys ever wondered what happens when you move to London? I'm going to tell you, don't move. Do not move out of your parents' house. If you can help it, save up all the money you have. And because you'll be in a situation like me right now, where you might not get your £500 deposit back, you've had about 4 floods, your washing machine hasn't worked for 2 months, and you have a really mouldy room. I'm currently now experiencing even more home issues from the house that I've moved out of a couple of weeks ago, and it still feels like I'm living there. And nobody actually tells you the truth about living in London, or living anywhere for that matter of fact, but yeah, here is the most expensive place to live and to be. You have to pay, say your rent is like £750, no bills. Then you wrap the bills on top, that's going to be like £850, £900. So currently I had to pay for Wi-Fi, £24. Then I had to pay for electricity and gas, and I had to top it up individually for a card and a stick. So that came to about £100 a month. And then you have to pay for council tax, which was extortionate. I paid it was £211 each month. So that was between split 3 of us. So that was like £70 each. So that's already like your rent is going up to £1,000. I'm an actor. Where's my film crew? Because I tell you, you guys would eat this shit up. I mean, good thing to say that I'm in therapy. There's not too much I can share right now, but once I can share, there's going to be a huge story time, trust me.
So I recently found out that I've got a job in Manchester. Very excited, can't wait.
how do people find flats? This is actually the most stressful thing ever. Like, not just the fact that it's Christmas, everyone's busy, but like spare room. The ads are either like amazing, but they don't get back to me, or there's no photos on it, or like just something doesn't work. I found this amazing room. I was going to FaceTime them this morning and they're like, oh, it's already taken. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm having a meltdown.
This clip explains why, even with falling base rates, house prices in the UK might still feel out of reach, and why inflation is quietly eating into real value.
The house prices in 2025. So, Bank of England base rate will continue to fall in 2025. But what we're going to see now is a divergence between Bank of England base rates and mortgage rates. So what's going to happen is you're going to get an uptick in inflation because the Bank of England won't have inflation under control, so it will start increasing. At the same time, you're going to have mortgage rates at quite a high level relatively. They might come down a little bit, but relatively they're going to stay very high. And that's because investors right now don't believe that Bank of England actually have inflation under control or have a growth plan for the economy in terms of the government. So what that means for house prices is that the base rate coming down will increase inflation, so the value of everything else around you is going to continue to increase. But house prices are going to stay depressed because of the relatively high mortgage rates. And it's going to be even worse. So what you're going to see is potentially a nominal increase in house prices of maybe like 1%, 2%. But in terms of real terms, because the price of everything else around you is going to go up at a much faster rate than your house price, in real terms, you're going to see a continued decline of real estate. By the time I was 28 years old, I built a real estate development pipeline of $115 million. In the last 18 months alone, I've accumulated £20 million real estate investment portfolio, and we're continuing to buy during what I call the valley of death. So since October 2022, we've been buying, and we're going to continue to buy all the way through 2025 with anticipation that at some point in 2026, real estate prices will increase in real terms. Now, for those of you who don't understand the difference between real value increase and nominal value increase, there are other videos on that to explain. That's not the point of today, but that's what's going to happen in 2025, looking at my crystal ball.
This next clip highlights just how expensive everyday things in London have become. Even a quick drop-off at the airport can cost an arm and a leg.
Okay, so I'm just having a little rant, which I usually don't do on the internet, but I hope a few of you can relate. I'm at Stansted Airport and I've just gone to pay for the parking. I was literally here for half an hour on the dot. And then by the time I got to the ticket machine, it was 1 minute or 2 minutes over. And instead of being £10, it said £18. So I called for assistance and the guy was like, yeah, if you miss it even by 1 minute, it's £18, but I'll see what I can do for you. And he actually put it down to £9. He put 50% off for me, which was very, very kind. But I just wanted to say, how is Britain, London, allowed to be doing these prices? Because £18 to drop someone off at the airport for up to 60 minutes and up to 30 minutes is £10. So you could literally spend 10 minutes dropping them off and you have to pay £10, or you can spend 35 minutes dropping them off and you have to spend £18 for parking. What is happening? What is happening? Anyway, that's my rant. Tell me what you guys think, if you can relate. I'm just in shock. I don't get it. I really don't get it. But anyway, I don't know how this is allowed. We should all stop using the car park. It's the same thing with Westfield as well. I've noticed the prices have gone up crazy. I just think we need to strike. We need to do something. We need to do something.
This clip sums up what so many young professionals in the UK are feeling right now. Even with a good salary, life is starting to feel like pure survival.
Sorry guys, excuse the absolute state of me. I've been so poorly the past few days. I just wanted to hop on here quickly and just rant about something. Anyone living in London, or do you know what, not even living in London, just living in the UK right now, how are you affording life? I'm talking as someone who earns like quite a good salary, has like a decent job, and still, I wouldn't say completely struggling with bills, but is getting to that point. Rent, £950. Council tax, £113.50. Thames water, £29 a month. Let's just round that up to 30. Electric, £35 a month. Heating and hot water, another £30 a month. Phone bill, £32 a month. Gym membership, £35 a month. That's £1,225 just in rent and bills every month. And then you've got your food shop, eating out, doing fun things, booking a holiday. Where is that other money coming from? The UK is becoming so expensive. It's actually hard to live just a standard life. Most people are low-key just surviving right now. It's not fun.
Inflation's back in the headlines, and while the experts say not to panic, the reality is it's already hitting bills across the UK.
So UK inflation has risen quite considerably to 3.5%. But as my headlines suggest, should we be worried? Well, first of all, let's look at this figure itself. So yeah, 3.5% is where inflation is coming. Analysts were only expecting 3.3%. The Bank of England is expecting 3.4%. So it's come in above expectations. And this is largely because obviously bills have gone up, particularly obviously water and gas bills. But this might not be as bad as you think. For me, it all depends what happens in the next few months. The Bank of England were expecting this roughly. They're expecting it to peak around about 3.7% from July to September. And then they've said they're slowly expecting it to come back down again and hit their target rate of 2%. So for me, this is a slight warning because it has come in above expectations. But at the moment, I'm going, okay, it's in line with what the Bank of England was expecting. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and of course, like and follow for more finance and investing content.
Imagine spending £18 on fruit when a McDonald's meal is half the price. This is Britain in 2025, where being healthy is a luxury.
I'm sorry, but what the hell is going on with inflation? I just went to Co-op to buy some fruit because I was really craving fruit. I'm going to show you what I bought and guess how much it all came to. So I bought some raspberries and it was 2 for a certain price. So I bought 2 packs. And then I bought some oranges, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 oranges in this pack. I bought some pineapple chunks because it's only a small Co-op, they didn't have many options. I bought some green grapes are superior. This all came to £18. £18. It's absolutely ridiculous. I know there's a flipping cost of living, but if I was to go to McDonald's down the road, I would be able to buy a whole meal for £8, including a drink, and I can't buy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of fruit, 5 boxes of fruit. And it almost cost me £20. The government keeps banging on about you need to be healthier, put calories on everything, put calories on all the menus, you need to lose weight, obesity is at its worst, when they're charging that much for fruit. I'm sorry, I don't want to live here anymore. I can't even be a health queen. At this rate, I'm just going to start buying crisp packets instead. Because you can buy a massive 24 pack of crisps for about £3-4. But when it comes to fruit, it's ridiculous, man. I know that Co-op isn't considered an affordable supermarket. It's one of the pricier ones, but still it's absolutely ridiculous to be charging that much for food, especially when they only had the Co-op extra special irresistible version of stuff. I couldn't find any normal oranges, they only had the irresistible ones, so it's there was not even a more affordable option. And in my opinion, even though Co-op is considered a bit pricier than Tesco or Asda, it's still absolutely ridiculous to be spending that much on fruit. I shouldn't have to spend that much. I literally had no choice. I live in the city centre in an apartment, so the only one I could go to at this time was literally downstairs, Co-op, and it's just ridiculous because all the chocolate and the pastries and the cakes, they were reasonably priced. I could buy a whole big fat cake for £2.75, but then this bunch of oranges came to £2.80. Make it make sense. What the hell? I feel like
I'm going on a rant like Farah, but now I know what she's on about, because this is the first time that I felt robbed. Like, I know inflation was bad, but this is the first time I've genuinely felt robbed. Because, like, what is in front of me? Nothing. This is going to last me like 2 days. And also, I swear Labour and Keir Starmer was selling the UK dreams, saying he was going to tackle inflation, the cost of living was going to go down. I don't see it. I don't flipping see it. Where has it gone down? Because I just spent 18 quid on fruit, 18 quid to be healthy, to make good health choices, and so how are you making the UK better? All I can see is that you're trying to make the UK unhealthier and poorer.
London rents are already insane, but what if I told you the councils are actually making it worse? This clip exposes how housing rules are trapping tenants instead of protecting them.
I'm going to go on a rant about London rentals, and it's not even what you think it is. Yes, it's really expensive, no one can afford to buy a house, it's really hard to find one. But I think the people who should be helping us, which is the local council, bear in mind most people cannot get social housing, it's actually making it harder, particularly for people who have to rent in house shares through something like a HMO. Now, I've grown up in London, I've rented here like throughout my 20s and 30s, many years. I never heard of a HMO until a couple of years when I came back from Berlin. And basically, it is a license that landlords need to get to provide additional security and standards for tenants. It's specifically designed for house shares and multi-households, so i.e. anyone who's not a family, basically. It's meant to help tenants, it's meant to, bring fire safety, etc. Don't really know why this is not needed for families. Anyway, that's the intention, apparently. But it's just making it incredibly hard to find anywhere to live. Now, as I said, I've lived in London for many years and I've always rented, and it's always been quite easy to find somewhere to rent. Yes, it's been expensive, but if you needed to find somewhere, you could. It's only recently, a couple of years ago, when I came back from Berlin, that something had really shifted and it was really hard to find somewhere. It took me almost 9 months to find somewhere in 22, 23. And this year I've been living in sublets for a number of years and have been looking for like the last 2 months. It's been a nightmare. And it's particularly hard, for example, in my situation where I am looking to rent with a couple and we live together, everything's great, we have income, we can prove it, but there's no 2 beds, there's no 3 beds that have HMO licenses. There are a few larger beds, but they're generally like in really poor quality, living rooms turned into bedrooms, etc. They seem to be on average much worse than anything that's not a HMO. No dishwashers, not anything nice that you'd want in your property, basically. So it's making it really, really hard. The borough I'm in, which is Lewisham, I looked at the numbers. I think there's around 7,000 HMOs in Lewisham, which I think is a borough that has close to 300,000 people. So it's a pretty insanely low amount of housing stock that is available to people who can't afford to buy and people who can't afford to rent singly, and which is basically anyone who's younger, a student, low income, anyone who's not a family, really. Under 7% of the housing stock, that's mad. And it's really pushing rents up. Rents have got so high in London. It's you're looking at over 1,000, 1,300 a month for just a room. It's crazy. I don't know why the council are so pro this HMO. I also don't even know, when I look online, everyone who's meant to be advocating for tenants is actually really pro HMO, wanting to roll it out. And right now, I'm having to look in Croydon because Croydon is essentially the only London borough that doesn't require HMO for properties of 4 and less people. Even in Lewisham, they only brought this in 2022, but every other London borough, you need a HMO license for 3 people and more. It's madness. Share me your stories. I really don't understand why the council's making it even harder for us to rent. My feeling is it's just another way for them to raise money.